Boo, everybody, and welcome back to the HabWrap. I'm your host, Harry Rice. You are listening to the friendliest and funniest source for anything and everything related to the Montreal Canadiens. Tonight, we played a slightly late start. It was a 7:30 start time against the Minnesota Wild, a team that we beat a couple weeks ago. Have not won in Minnesota since 2011. Last time we won, it was a huge destruction. It was an 8-1 Canadiens win. Subban had a hat trick. I bring it up because the broadcast brought it up like 17 times. Felt like every commercial break that came back from, hey, do you know the last time the Canadiens won, Subban had a hat trick? It's like, yes, we heard you the first 8 times. But yeah, we did play the Wild tonight. These games usually end either with a complete blowout or a very boring game. And tonight was very boring. The two teams combined for a total shots of 44 by the end of the game. Not a lot of exciting stuff. I don't expect this episode to go that long, so let's get into the lines and such, and let's find out if the Canadiens can win in Minnesota. So the opening lines for the Canadiens were Caulfield, Suzuki, Doc, Slafkovsky, Kapanen, Demidov. I'm just same lines from the last few games. Slafkovsky, Kapanen, Demidov, Veleno, Evans, Bolduc, Anderson, Duneau, Gallagher on the blue line. Matheson, Gooley, Hutson, Dobson, and Jack-Eye Carrier. Arbor Jack-Eye had a grand total of 5 minutes and 50 seconds on ice tonight. Mike Matheson had close to 30. That's going to be relevant soon. Jakub Dobeš gets the start net for the Canadiens, and Samuel Montembeault continues to back him up as he's done recently. I would imagine Montembeault gets the final game before the Olympic break. Hopefully. The opening lines for the Wild were Kaprizov, Hartman, Zuccarello, Johansson, Eriksson-Ek, Boldy, Treenen, Yurov, Tarasenko, and Hinestroza, Strome, and Treenen. On the blue line, Hughes, Faber, Middleton, Spurgeon, and Hunt Bogosian. The Minnesota Wild really like defensemen with the last name ending in N, as do the Canadiens. They combined 6 of them. Technically O-N, that's 5 of them. Bogosian's the only one. It's an A-N at the end of his last name. Philip Gustafsson, of course, gets the start for the Wild, and Cal Peterson backs him up with Jesper Wallstedt. I believe it's being hurt right now, so tons of players that are going to the Olympics are getting hurt right now. Texier for the Canadiens is one. He's playing for Team France, or supposed to. I assume he will. I assume it's not a serious injury. I believe it's a day-to-day one. Fingers crossed, Suzuki, thankfully not hurt. And Caulfield and Hutson not going to the Olympics. They're going to get a very nice bit of rest over the next 2 weeks after the Minnesota game. So in the first period, the Wild score. 38 seconds in, Joel Eriksson-Ek, who had a very, very good game for the Minnesota Wild, he scores above the blocker, a long-range shot, an awful goal for Jakub Dobeš to allow. 38 seconds in, you need to have that, you need to make that save. First shot, first goal. Habs fans are quiet. That happened with Dobeš in net. That's interesting. And the Habs go to a penalty kill. 55 seconds in, Kapanen gets called for a hook. It was an obvious hook. That sucks, though. Evans gets a good bouncer to Duneau, but the shot, he looks for a hole. That does get saved. It's a pretty easy one. The Wild underpricing a puck. A moment later, the Wild do get the puck. Matheson gets a clear, and he finds Dobson. The shot gets saved by the pad of Gustafsson. Gooley has a nice bump on Hughes that allows Evans to dump. Habs are 1-for-1 in the penalty kill tonight. Dobson comes in 1-on-1, but a good stick breaks that chance up. Demidov lays the body on a dump-in. Nice little shoulder-to-shoulder. But the pass to Slav is just off his stick. Duneau in a rush finds Galley. The one-timer gets saved and held by Gustafsson. The Habs top line look for something. The Wild were all over them 7 minutes in. Demidov has a good rush. The shot goes off Damon Hunt's stick. Okay, so Hunt was... I said Hunt in the lines. The shot goes off Damon Hunt's stick into his throat. He was down for a moment. Jesus, that's going to hurt. He would go off. He wasn't rushing to get off, so I think that's a little good, but that's definitely going to hurt. I don't recall seeing him for the rest of the game, so the Wild are down to 5 defensemen early on. The only good thing for them there is that they at least have the lead. Gallagher has a near open net, but that gets blocked in front. Galley then turns it over. Dobesh makes his first save of the game halfway through the period. The shots were 3-1 Montreal before that shot happens. The Wild press off a turnover. I can't speak right now. There's a chance for Boldy right in front and a save by Dobesh. Shots then get stuck at 3-3 for a few minutes as both teams just kind of getting into some battles along the boards. Some puck battles along the boards, I should say. There's a Wild shot stopped by Dobesh with 6 minutes left as the Wild controlled for a moment. Matheson has a shot deflected by Doc. There's a very good save for Gustafsson right in front there. The Wild press, there's some stick checking, and they eventually score. Kirill Kaprizov makes it 2-0 for the Wild. Ivan Demidov tries to play the line for Matheson, who is nowhere in sight playing his actual position. Kaprizov gets in, and with just about 4 minutes left, he tips one home. Yeah. By the way, sorry. Joel Eriksson-Ek scores his 15th of the year from Johansson and Boldy, and Kaprizov scores from Hughes and Hartman. So, my apologies. I almost forgot to do the recap there. So it's 2-0 for the Wild. It's at this point you're thinking, okay, well, this sucks. You know, just play well for the rest of the game. Hope he can rebound in Winnipeg. I already got to that. Bolduc has a hard hit along the benches. The Wild press after a bad Caulfield turnover. We're approaching the final minutes. And the Canadiens score. All of a sudden, with 52 seconds left, Brendan Gallagher with a very pretty goal. Dekes by Hughes, nice backhand forehand, and into the wide open net. Where the hell has this Brendan Gallagher been the past 5 months? He scored shitty little goals, and then he pulls that out. Part of me kind of hopes that's his last goal as a Montreal Canadien, because that's a hell of a goal to go out on top with, but I don't know. We'll find out if it is or not. I say that and he's going to score 2 goals next game, probably. The Habs do get zone time in the dying seconds, but they just can't get anything on net. The shots, just 6-5 for the Canadiens. They do trail 2-1 after the initial 20 minutes, unfortunately. In the second period, Jack has a nice hit on Treenan early. Gooley with a nice slapper, but that's stopped with the pad. Bolduc has some open space, but the shot's held by Gustafsson. Hinestroza off of a pass by Strome, right in front, big pad save by Dobesh. There's a 2-on-1 for Minnesota. Boldy off of a pass, but Matheson with a nice poke there. Wild press, and they eventually score. Tarasenko on a 2-on-1 puts it home. Never mind. They don't score. Tarasenko with the shot. It goes off the post, off Dobesh's mask, and perfectly lands right on top of the netting. So somehow that isn't a goal for the Minnesota Wild. That would have been very lucky. The Wild, regardless, lead the shots 5-0 7 minutes in. Playing a very good second period are the Minnesota Wild. Caulfield has a shot saved. There's a Matheson steal, but nothing there. 9 minutes in, the Habs go to a penalty kill. Hutson gets called for a trip on Hughes. That sucks. Habs get a clear early. Kaprizov has a chance saved on a quick cycle. Evans gets tripped up on a break. There's a chance, and of course, no call. Why would there be? Gooley has a good clear on a board play. The Canadiens are 2 for 2 on the penalty kill tonight. Dobesh makes a save on Tarasenko. He holds halfway through. Habs do get a power play coming up. There's a good shift for them on delayed penalty, but just can't find anything on net. Bogosian gets called to for a trip on, I believe that was Jake Evans, if I recall correctly. No, sorry, that was a trip on Oliver Kapanen. My apologies. So either way, Habs get a power play. The Wild clear. Habs go back the other way. Hutson with a nice deke on Faber. The shot on net, and him and Boldy get to shoving after the play gets blown down a little bit. Boldy was a bit physical tonight. I quite like Matt Boldy's game. I thought he played a good game tonight, and I like him. He's one of my he's one of the more entertaining Wild, if you will say. If I'll say, I like Matt Boldy. The Wild clear off of a Suzuki pass. Habs almost set up the other way. The Wild just clear some more. Habs go 0 for 1 on the power play tonight. That is the only power play they get all game. The Wild ice the puck after a little bit of a Habs cycle. There's a Matheson shot rebound, and Andy just can't get the rebound in front of the net. Damn it. Slavkovsky has a rush. He sets up Demidov in front. That gets saved. There's another chance. Demidov gets slashed. There is no call after that. He gets slashed after a nice deke. Suzuki has a rush. That gets held. Boldy and him exchange a couple words. Suzuki bumped into Boldy earlier in the period. They kind of stared each other down. That was fun. Not a lot of chances for either team in this game so far. I want to say the shots at this stage were, it was like 12-11. Not a ton of chances with 4 minutes left in the second period. Either way, the Wild press with 2 minutes left. There's a nice shot block on Evans. Dobesh makes a good save on Brock Faber with 45 seconds left. Habs go back the other way, and we score! Ivan Demidov, just surprisingly, his 12th goal of the year. A beauty of a one-timer, an arguably even better pass by Lane Hutson to get that into the back of the net. Ivan Demidov ties it on a one-timer with 17 seconds left in the period. He scores from Hutson and Alex Carrier. So Carrier getting a couple points. He's now quietly has 18 on the year. Good for the two-way defenseman. Ivan Demidov ties it. A beauty. Funny enough, he was looking over at Hutson. He almost looked mad that Demidov couldn't pass it off to someone else. I kind of love that. Like, he's willing to take the shot, but he's mad that he can't set someone else up instead. I like that about Demidov. It's a little bit of character there from him. That's always good to see. So after the second period, the shots are 14 apiece, and it's 2 goals apiece as well. Tie game after the second period. In the third period, Montreal scores 12 seconds in. A ball-busting goal. Kirby Dach gets his 7th of the year. Off the draw, it gets dumped in. Suzuki centers. Dach just with a little bit of a tip. It gets by Gustafsson. He scores 12 seconds in. Dach, like I said, he scores from Suzuki and Noah Dobson. Noah Dobson quietly starting to have a very nice little streak of points. We'll get into that at the end of the game. Canadiens have their first lead. They just got to hold for about 19 minutes and 48 seconds, and they'll be good. They'll be right as rain. Urov gets found in front. There's a look saved by Dobesh. Wild with another chance, but that's gloved down. Bogosian then breaks his stick on a one-time attempt. Habs almost get a 2-on-1. Evans has a shot saved. Demidov with a nice job to beat out Neisling. He finds Slavkovsky, who centers to Kapanen. A great save by Gustafsson. Cappy almost makes it 4-2 for the Canadiens. If he would have, that would have been nice, but unfortunately Gustafsson with a really good save there. Wild press on a rush the other way. The shot, the puck comes out, I should say. Caulfield almost finds a break the other way, and then the Wild score. Matheson tries to elbow a member of the Wild. They end up moving, passes perfectly there, and Faber gets on sort of a break, and he just puts it behind Dobesh. He never really even had a chance. Faber with a really nice shot there. It's a 3-3 tie game at 7:05. Faber with his 13th of the year. Good for him. Scoring defenseman from Marcus Johansson and Quinn Hughes. Mike Matheson was on the ice for all 3 goals at this point in the game. I would like to remind everybody that Marty St. Louis has no issue benching Arbor Jacki, which I think he was benched tonight. Again, he got less than 7 minutes of ice time. I'm going to check on the NHL.com because I'm 99% sure. Yeah, Arbor Jacki had, not 550. He had 551 ice time. He had a grand total of 8 shifts in this game. Mike Matheson, who finishes the night a -3, and spoiler, would have finished a -4 as well if power play goals didn't count against a minus, had 25:41 ice time. He had just 14 seconds left than Lane Hutson, who was a +3 tonight. Alex Carrier, who had an assist and was a +2 tonight, had 19:42 ice time. I don't know why Mike Matheson gets as much ice time as he does. I'm sorry. There are some Canadiens fans who are going to say, Mike Matheson's a minute muncher. You can give him that much ice time. I don't care. Mike Matheson should never be getting 25 minutes of ice time. I wish it told me specifically how much ice time he got power play and shorthanded, because I know he sure as hell didn't get power play time. I want to say Matheson was out there for about 5 minutes of penalty kill time. Which, on 3 kills, you really don't want. Like, it's one thing if it was like how it was in 2023-24 where you didn't have Lane Hutson yet and, Matheson was basically your only point-producing defenseman because Gouli gets hurt a lot. It's like, okay, Matheson getting 30 minutes a night, that makes sense because he's also putting up 60 points. That's fine. Matheson gets 60 points. Cool, you can play him 30 minutes a night. But at this point, Matheson is on pace for, maybe 35 points? Which is good, sure. But that's not what you want out of a 25 to 28 minute per night defenseman. I get he's a minute muncher. Or he can be. That doesn't mean he should be. I have no clue why Marty St. Louis has not benched Mike Matheson once. Is it simply because he wears the A? Is it the same reason he's afraid to bench Brendan Gallagher? Like, I get Gallagher had a good goal tonight. It's his first point in 8 games. He doesn't play good most of the time. He skates around, and that's it. That is all Brendan Gallagher does recently. He barely throws the body. He's not good defensively. He's not on the penalty kill for one, thank God. He gets second unit power play time, and he's on an 8-game pointless drought. Like, I get the Stars having an 8-game pointless drought and still being on the power play, because it makes sense. If Demidov, for example, were to have an 8-game pointless drought, Kapanen just had a 7-game pointless drought. I'm pretty sure he was still on the power play. That makes sense, because, okay, well, Kapanen's a rookie. He'll snap out of this. Brendan Gallagher, it's not, oh, he's on a slump, oh, he's on a drought. No. Brendan Gallagher getting a point is far more rare than it used to be because Gallagher sucks now. Brendan Gallagher is washed up at, 34, 33 years old? How old is Brendan Gallagher? I gotta look this up real quick. Brendan Gallagher is 33 years old. He's turning 34 in the offseason. It would not surprise me if Brendan Gallagher retires at the end of the year. I'm sorry, this dude is barely going to get 20 points this year. He has $6.5 million being paid next year. Honestly, it would not surprise me if Brendan Gallagher ends up in the AHL next season, and he probably should, because we have far more talented guys who can do a much better job, who actually want to be in the NHL. Like, I understand. Gallagher's been with the team for 13 years. It'll be 14 next year, assuming he doesn't retire. Fingers crossed for that. But it just sucks to see someone who at one point looked like he could be a pretty good 30-goal scorer. 17-18 and 18-19. Gallagher has 30 goals. 19-20 even. He probably finishes with 30 goals. I think he could have scored 8 goals in the last 23 games of the year had COVID not happened. He probably could have finished with another 30-goal season. Even 2021, he only plays 35 games. He has 14 goals. There's a very good chance Gallagher, if that's a full regular season, he has 30 goals. And keep in mind, all this comes after a season where he had 10 goals in 64 games. Brendan Gallagher had a huge rebound and had 4 years where he either did hit 30 goals or probably could have. To see Brendan Gallagher even go from last year where he looked good. The $6.5 million went from, oh yeah, it's an albatross, it's a god-awful contract, to, you know what? 20 goals, almost 40 points? It's a bad contract, but he's useful. To this year being, yeah, Gallagher is probably should retire at the end of the year. We are genuinely having this conversation about Brendan Gallagher because the goal scoring is gone. The goal scoring is completely gone. And people will say, hey, well, we had this conversation in 21-22 and 22-23 when he was, 29-30. He had 7 goals and 8 goals in back-to-back seasons. And then he put up 16 and 21. He's not having another 20-goal season. If Gallagher plays next year, I have high doubts that he's even going to hit 10 goals next season. I have doubts that he's going to hit 10 goals this season. I I just think Brendan Gallagher is god-awful. Back to Mike Matheson, who I was originally ranting about. I have no clue why Marty St. Louis has zero willingness to bench the veterans. He was so easy. He's so willing to bench... well, he might be easy, I don't know. But he's so willing to bench Arbor Jackeye. And yet Mike Matheson, who will be on the ice for 3 goals against... The only one that I don't think you can really fault Matheson for is the first goal. That one is purely on Jakub Dobeš. He needs to do better on long-range shots like that. But to be a -3, be on the ice for all 4 goals scored against Spoiler, I think it's just absolutely ridiculous that Marty, after none of the goals, seems to go over to him and tell him, hey, smarten up, get your defensive game going, we pay you to be a good two-way defenseman. Your offense is not going to be there for much longer, so focus your eye on the defensive game. Keep in mind, this is a guy who against Boston, on a shorthanded, on a penalty kill, went fucking blazing into the goddamn offensive zone, trying to get a shorthanded goal, instead of fucking focusing back, playing defense, and the Bruins score a power play goal, because Mike Matheson is trying to do it all. I have no clue why the hell we extended Mike Matheson. And I get people are going to say, well, Harry, you need veterans. You can't win with a bunch of rookies. And I completely agree. You do need 1 or 2 veterans on a team. You need a couple veterans on the team. Hell, it wouldn't surprise me if we end up trading out a guy like Kirby Dach, for example. I like Kirby Dach, but it wouldn't surprise me if you trade him or a guy like Newhook to get an upgrade on what we have now. Trading out some of the younger guys. Of course, there's been talk that the Canadiens are looking for a top-line winger and a second-line center, and that they're willing to wheel and deal a couple of guys. It wouldn't surprise me if even like an Owen Beck or an Adam Engstrom exactly are those young guys dealt out to bring in veterans to help the team. But we signed Mike Matheson, giving him $6 million for 5 straight years. And he's going to be a -3 every game. I think we've reached the first official blunder of the Hugo era, which is really impressive that it took 4 years to reach that status of them having a huge blunder. It took 4 years for them to get there, and it's impressive. They've had a great reign so far. But my God, you should not have signed Mike Matheson. You should have let him walk in free agency or trade him at the deadline. Go out and bring in like a Drew Doughty or something. I don't know if Doughty is expiring after this year, when Doughty's expiring, but if you could have brought in a Drew Doughty, 50% retention, that would have been so worth it. You have a guy who legitimately cares defensively. He can still put up offense. At the very least, can teach guys like Lane Hutson and help Noah Dobson and Caden Gooley. And when he gets here next year, David Reinbacher, he can get these guys an even better offensive mind. Mike Matheson had 1 year of really damn good offensive play. And then last year, the points were gone because his ice time dropped because we had better offensive defensemen. And this year, his time doesn't drop despite us having 2 better power play defensemen and at least 2 better penalty kill defensemen in Caden Gooley and Alex Carrier. Hell, I would trust Noah Dobson on the penalty kill before I trust Mike Matheson. I would trust Lane Hutson on the penalty kill at this point over Mike Matheson. I have no clue how Mike Matheson's ice time isn't down to 22 minutes a night, 21 minutes a night. It's so baffling to me that he'll bench Arbor Jackeye, not allow him to learn from his mistakes, and Mike Matheson, who consistently will give the puck away several times a night. Yeah, Mike, you get 26 minutes a night. You're -3. You've only given the puck away 8 fucking times tonight. Go out, get a few more shifts. Make the top line a -4 on the night. Just absolutely insane. And Stefan Robidas has part blame with this as well, that he is not bothering to fix these defensive mistakes, both with Matheson and Arbor Xhekaj. And of course, when Carrier and Hutson have their occasional mistakes, that Stefan Robidas, who was never a defensive defenseman in his NHL career, is not sitting these guys down and helping them and teaching them what to do in situations where they end up giving the puck away, especially Lane Hutson. When he gets pressured, once in a while, he really feels the pressure and ends up giving a puck away. No clue why Robidas isn't helping him with that. Mike Matheson, why he isn't going to him and saying, hey, when you're at the blue line, maybe don't try and fucking pinch. Skate back. Instead of getting up a 2-on-1, okay, it's a 2-on-2 the other way. That's more manageable. Alright, let's go. This podcast went from being about 20 minutes long to being 30 minutes long because I had to talk about Mike Matheson for a little while. So a Hab gets tripped up, there's no call. 2 seconds later, a Wild gets tripped up, there's no call. So at this point, the refs are either playing in favor of Minnesota or not calling anything. Of course, both things are happening. Doc has good space off of a Caulfield pass along the boards. He looks for a 5-hole backhand, but that gets held by Gustafsson. The Wild press. Kaprizov sort of bumps Dobesh, who goes down. Hartman's in there, but there's no goal for the Wild. They press right in front a short while after. The Canadiens' second line almost gets a look off of a good press, but the Wild playing responsible D with just single-digit minutes remaining. Tarasenko ends up blocking a Dobson one-timer off of a good burst for the Canadiens. Dobesh has a good save on Marcus Johansson the other way. That was a backhander and held. Wild ended up icing the puck with 6:10 left. Habs get some good control. Doc has a wrap chance and that's stopped. There's a slapper that's blocked and cleared. Wild have an eventual press. The Habs get lucky with a Wild tripping up over themselves during a one-time opportunity. The Habs then ice the puck moments later. Evans then clears off of a Hemmen by the Wild with 1:20 left. The Habs end up holding a puck against the boards. They do kill off about 25 seconds. That gets blown down. The Wild press, however, it's a 3-3 tie game. The shot's 23-19 for the Wild. We are headed to overtime. In said overtime, Habs win the opening draw. Jake Evans was very good in the faceoff dot tonight. He ended up going, I believe it was 10 for 12 or 10 for 11. He was very good in the faceoff circle tonight. There's a pass all the way down. Dobesh out to play it. Love to see that. He's against the boards. Hutson ends up coming out when he gets pressured by Kaprizov. Coming out of the zone, I should say. He doesn't, just shout, "I'm gay!" when Kaprizov pressures him. No, he comes out of the zone. Caulfield almost gets a one-timer off a Suzuki rush, but the pass is just over his shooting area. Boldy on one way goes for a backhand, but the shot is off the post. Slav goes the other way. There's a chance held by Gustafsson. Kaprizov has a sudden burst, and the Canadiens go to the penalty kill. Danault's called for a hook on Kaprizov. That sucks. That was a legitimate hook. That sucks. The Wild end up calling their timeout to get a strategy figured out for the 4-on-3 power play. I really wish in the overtime they'd go 3-on-2, for example. I think that would be so chaotic and just so fun. I think it'd be really funny to see. Evans has a good pass. Matheson ends up clearing to kill some time. Wild set up Kaprizov with a one-timer, but he whiffs on it. The Habs clear. Suzuki bumps into Joel Eriksson-Ek, trying to put him offside, but that doesn't work. And a short while after, the Wild win. Matheson out for all 4 goals against. Kaprizov wins it on a shot right past Dobesh with Jake Evans screening. Eriksson-Ek moves a second before the shot is taken, so it's only Evans screening. God damn it. That's really all I can say. The Canadiens finished the night 2 for 3 on the penalty kill tonight. The Wild win it 4-3 in overtime. The final shots as well, 24-20 for the Wild, so in about 3.5 minutes of overtime. Actually, apparently the shots were 22-19 after the third, so even in overtime, not a lot of shots, 2-1. In a single period, neither team crossed into double-digit shots. 6-5 Wild in the first, 9-7 Canadiens in the second, 9-5 Minnesota in the third, and then 2-1 Minnesota in overtime. So neither team hit double-digit shots in a single period. This game, a very, very boring game, but then again, that's just Minnesota Wild hockey for you. We'll see how they handle Colorado in the first round. Either way, yeah, that does it for the game. Again, a unfortunately boring hockey game. The Wild end up winning as a result. Kaprizov with a 2-goal game. Wild win, really. I'm happy for the 1 point. We're now up 9 points on the next team who actually has a chance of taking us out. And that's not a slight against the Washington Capitals. It's just because they would actually hit third in the Metro before they get to the second wild card, which is just insane. They actually would get to second in the division before reaching second in the wild card. So I say that because Ottawa is also in the Atlantic. Columbus is in the Metro. But then again, we all know Columbus doesn't really have an actual chance of making the playoffs. They're the Columbus Blue Jackets. They're basically the joke of the NHL. So yeah. Before we get into the standings, of course, or the stats, we are going to do the standings because I think we're at the point now where we really should be tracking the standings. So the Canadiens currently sit at third in the Atlantic Division, actually tied with the Detroit Red Wings, who would thankfully get humiliated and lost tonight to the... Oh, no, never mind. They actually didn't lose. That game is still ongoing. I thought that game ended by now. My apologies. They're actually still up 1-0 on the Detroit Red Wings, so I'm going to say they lost because it's Colorado. They'll probably come back. So we are currently in third in the Atlantic Division with the same amount of games and points so far as the Red Wings, 56 games played, 70 points. So, yeah. That's not bad. Just 4 points back on the Lightning. The only issue, the Lightning have 3 games in hand on the Canadiens, and after tonight we'll have 4 games in hand on the Detroit Red Wings. So that's a bit of a yikes for Detroit's chances right now, at least, of getting to first in the Atlantic Division. We are 1 point up on the Buffalo Sabres, who also did win tonight, and up 2 points on the second wild card, Boston Bruins. We are up as well, again, 9 points on the next team who has a likelihood of catching us again from within our division, the Ottawa Senators, and also up 11 points on the Florida Panthers, who surprisingly are on a 4-game losing streak. They have not been that good this year. However, the offseason break is really going to help them out. They're going to come back pretty damn good next year, I would imagine. Also, the Toronto Maple Leafs up 11 points on them as well. They're tied with Florida. So, yeah, Canadiens have a huge lead on, at the very least, the team outside of the wild card. Even if they dropped the second wild card, realistically, they shouldn't fall out of that second wild card spot. So the Canadiens are going to make the playoffs this year. Hell yeah. Now, let's get into the stats, and let's get on out of here. So, Nick Suzuki, of course, he leads the Canadiens in points with 18 goals, 47 assists, and 65 points, along with 6 of those points in his last 3 games. Cole Caulfield with 32 goals and 25 assists for 57 points this year. Lane Hutson with 9 goals, 48 assists for 57 points. He also has 4 assists in his last 3 games. Ivan Demidov, 12 goals, 34 assists for 46 points. He is still leading the NHL in rookie points, as you probably saw in the earlier slide. Juraj Slafkovsky, second on the team in goals with 21. He also has 23 assists for 44 points. Noah Dobson with 10 goals, 26 assists, for 36 points, along with 4 of those points in his last 3 games. Oliver Kapanen with the 17 goals, also 13 assists for a 30-point season so far. Good for him. Mike Matheson with a 5-goal, 23 assists, 28-point season. He's a -3 tonight and is a -4 in his last 2 games. Zach Bolduc with 10 goals, 12 assists for 22 points. Alex Carrier, 6 goals, 12 assists for 18 points. Josh Anderson with 11 goals, 6 assists, 17 points. He is on a 6-game pointless drought. Alexander Texe, who's unfortunately hurt, had 7 goals, 10 assists, 17 points. Brendan Gallagher with 5 goals, 11 assists, and 16 points. He snaps an 8-game pointless drought. Good on Brendan Gallagher. Jake Evans with 7 goals, 6 assists for 13 points. Alex Nowak, who's unfortunately still hurt, 6 goals and 6 assists for 12 points. Kirby Dach, 7 goals, 4 assists for 11 points, along with 4 points in his last 3 games. Took him a few games to get caught up, but he's starting to look good now. Phil Deneau, 2 goals, 6 assists for 8 points. Jaden Struble with 7 assists on the year. Sammy Blais, 2 goals, 3 assists for 5 points. Joe Veleno with 2 goals and 2 assists for 4 points. He is now on a 9-game pointless drought. Kirby Dach with a goal and 3 assists for 4 points. Arbor Jacki with a goal and an assist this year, along with a great 22-game pointless drought. Owen Beck, who is currently in Laval, has a goal in the NHL, along with a 7-game pointless drought. Patrick Laine, who's unfortunately still hurt. I really hope he plays in Winnipeg. Just get him that one game before the trade deadline. Or not the trade deadline, the Olympic break. But him, Florian Jacki, and Jared Davidson, who are both back down in Laval, all have an assist this year. Arbor Jacki, of course, leads the way in fights. He's got 7. Josh Anderson, Jaden Struble each with 2 fights. Kirby Dach, Joe Veleno, Caden Gooley, and Florian Jacki all have a fight this year. In terms of the goaltending, Jakub Dobeš leads the way with an 18-5-4 record, a 2.96 goals against average, and an 8.92 save percentage. Samuel Montembeault with a 9-8-2 record, a 3.46 goals against average, and an 8.68 save percentage. Jacob Fowler, who is, again, back in Laval to get starts in the NHL, had a 4-4-2 record, a 2.62 goals against average, a 9.02 save percentage, along with the lone shutout for the Canadiens this year. So yeah, that is going to do it for this episode of the HabWrap. Thank you all so much for watching. Please do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe. If you're on YouTube, hit the follow button. If you're on Amazon, Spotify, wherever you might be listening to the podcast on. And also, don't forget to share the podcast with anyone who you think might enjoy, such as a fellow Montreal Canadiens fan, a hockey fan who's maybe looking for a Canadiens podcast, or you want to share it with someone who you think just might enjoy listening to some fat kid from Quebec talk about the Montreal Canadiens for half an hour after every game. Yeah, that's going to do it for this episode of the HabWrap again. Thank you all so much for watching. My name is Harry Rice. And always remember, no matter how good we are like last year, how great we are like this year, or how fantastic we'll be in the future, go Habs go, Ade Montreal, and say it with me everybody, C'est la boue!